I'm going to show you something a little different today. It's a kind of multiple exposure that I haven't shown before, and it is called a burst multiple exposure. And it's something that's really useful if you're doing multiple exposures of something that's either moving or something that's still, but you're moving the camera. And it can give some really neat results, and that is how I made this. We're doing three things to set up a burst multiple exposure. The first is we have to appropriately set the camera's ISO so that we can use a shutter speed that's fast enough to freeze any motion or action, because we want each individual exposure to be sharp. We're going to enable multiple exposures and set the camera to continuous shooting for multiple exposures, assuming that your camera has that option. In that way, the exposures keep firing off for as long as we don't let go of the shutter button very rapidly. And the third thing we have to do is set the camera to a high frame rate. And yes, you can still use any of the in-camera blend modes for the burst multiple exposure. In this case, when you were looking through my viewfinder, you probably saw me set the in-camera blend mode to bright. And the reason I did this was to make sure that the fish in the pond came through to the final image from each exposure, because the fish itself was very bright, had light falling on it. And this was a 9 exposure burst multiple exposure. If you start counting carefully, you'll see that there are 9 fish. And this obviously was a burst multiple exposure of a moving subject. And let me real quickly show you one of a non-moving subject where the camera is what was moving. Here we have a downtown skyscraper, which obviously was not moving, but I did move the camera during the burst. This one was shot in the average blend mode and then brought into Photoshop to add contrast, saturation, and toning. Well, I hope you found that useful and that it's something that you might enjoy trying out in your own photography.